Oshkosh Media is government programming on GovTV, community programming on Life TV, and community radio on Oshkosh FM 101.9.
And welcome to the City Manager's Report Top 10 of 2022. This is our annual countdown of the most important events, projects, and activities that happened over this past year in Oshkosh. I'm Andy Radig, and I'm joined by City Manager Mark Rohloff. And Mark, thanks for being here. And can you tell us a little bit about what this Top 10 show is all about?
Yeah, it's great to be here, Andy. You know, we do over 20 shows annually with the City Manager's Report. So the top 10 is really to capture a lot of the stories that we've talked about all year throughout 2022 and highlight those and put some perspective to them, and then maybe take a little peek at what's going on for 2023.
Sure. And I believe that this year, a little bit different. We had an honorable mention item that didn't quite make the top 10, but we wanted to highlight the new drone technology that Oshkosh Media has been using to give a better view of things that are happening in Oshkosh.
Well, certainly we want to thank the Friends of Oshkosh Community Media because their fundraising and generosity enabled us to get this drone that, as you will see throughout this program and as we saw all year, that they're able to capture a perspective that you just don't get otherwise, and really shows how we make great use of technology to help tell our story. So I thought it was worthy of at least giving it a little mention here. So, and as you'll see, this is well-deserved honorable mention because there's a lot of cool things you're going to see with our video today.
Well, it helps us illustrate a lot of these different things that otherwise we only get a ground perspective. And so as you can see through some of this video, it really helps us to illustrate the point and tell the story.
Well, we might as well get started then, huh, Andy?
Well, let's dive into the list. Sure. We've got our number 10 on the list is the Oshkosh Public Museum and the Oshkosh Area School District collaboration.
Yeah, we sure do. The Oshkosh Area School District schools now have a regular visit to the museum as part of the curriculum for the school children. The museum provides educational resources to schools, and now with them coming in, they can actually do a little bit of hands-on type of activities. And so we've partnered with a member of their faculty who has helped create what are called Oshkosh Public Museum Inquiry Kits. They were just launched this year, and they bring history to the hands of 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. Those are really our target audiences throughout the school district. And as you can see from some of the pictures, the kids really enjoy doing a little more hands-on approach to learning about history. So we're excited, so much so that we've done some reorganization in the public museum, and we're adding a position of curator for education by eliminating one position and adding this. And this is really going to put a focus on this to make it a good academic experience for the students when they do arrive. And the school district has somebody who's working on their side so that we integrate the museum and its history with the curriculum at the school district.
Mm-hmm. Well, the museum is not only a wonderful resource for the community, but it's also a great resource for the school district, as we see here.
Yeah, and our hope is that the kids will go home to their parents and say, hey, I had a great time at the museum, and maybe the whole family will go. And really making it a very family-friendly location is something that is certainly within one of our goals list.
Sure. Well, very good. Well, number 9 on our list is falls prevention efforts expand. And, you know, this has really been a topic that we've been talking about for a while.
Yeah, and I think it bears repeating that household falls are the leading cause of calls for our ambulance service with the Oshkosh Fire Department. So the department wants to be proactive in doing things to help prevent falls from happening in the first place, because once a person gets their first fall, there seems to create a downward spiral. So the longer we can prevent those type of events from happening, an individual can lead a more fulfilling, independent life. So that's why the fire department partnered with the Oshkosh Senior Center on many different efforts, but the Senior Center has this new equipment that can help test individuals for their susceptibility to falls. And they go through this exercise and say, here's sort of where your balance is a little off, and everybody has a little bit of imbalance, so this helps them identify those things. So we're really excited that the two different departments, the senior center and the fire department, are working so closely together because they both recognize the value of doing this.
Right, right. And the Oshkosh Fire Department also had a successful Mugs for Rugs campaign this past year.
It was. The fire department partnered with some of our local coffee shops where they, if you brought in an old throw rug, you got a mug that enabled you to get a free cup of coffee. I don't know if they're still valid, but my mug is pretty good. I turned in a rug and got a mug for doing so. But it really is important that we recognize the importance of fall prevention as part of our whole public safety strategy.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Okay, very good. Well, number 8 on our list is partnerships with the Menominee Tribe continue. So, there's been a lot happening in that regard as well.
There's been a lot of things in the last couple of years. We started out the year with a discussion. It got a little tenuous at some times, but that was part of making this process much better. We have the Chief Oshkosh statue that is not really historically accurate, and that's part of the story, telling the story about some of the historical inaccuracies and then highlighting some of the great accomplishments of Chief Oshkosh to both the Menominee Tribe, but as well as to how natural resources are managed here in the state of Wisconsin. So we're excited that the Menominee Tribe worked with us to get some wording that tells a more effective story of Chief Oshkosh. So what you're going to see in the near future are some new interpretive signs surrounding the Chief Oshkosh statue, so people can go and learn more about Chief Oshkosh and him as a governance leader, as somebody who really took care of the environment and cared much for his tribe and how he helped preserve the Menominee Tribe. This has actually added a wonderful partnership with the Menominees. I know the Public Museum had been working on several things in recent years, but the Public Museum helped me host a visit from the Menominee Tribe this past year, and several of the people who visited had never been to Menominee Park and didn't realize that Menominee Park was our flagship park, and they were quite honored that we recognized the contributions and the history of the Menominees, that we named our flagship park after their tribe. So the Oshkosh Public Museum has had wonderful collaborations with them, such as the powwow that was done in 2021. And our museum staff spent a lot of time with the Menominees to show them some of the artifacts that we've collected over the years that have been donated to us over the years by the Menominees, by members of the Menominee Tribe, and by other individuals. So we're excited about this. I think you're going to see more collaborations in the future, and so we're really excited about this.
And the Landmarks Commission, as well as the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Committee, have been involved as well.
Yeah, they did, and that was it was a good way to get our citizens involved, as well as working closely with the Menominee Tribe. So we're really excited about this.
Okay, excellent. Well, number 7 on our list, as we count down the top 10 of 2022, is work on city facility needs continues.
This is something that the council asked me as city manager to take a very close look at and needed to identify the condition of our facilities and how we address that in the future. And we have many different facility needs. Our staff identified about $65 million in facility needs that are going to be needed over the next 10 years. And you can't do that all at one fell swoop, and you have to be fiscally responsible to do those things. So the council asked us to put together a plan. Our 10-year capital improvement plan identifies a lot of these, and then there are some that are already underway, because that's how you get started. You eat an elephant one bite at a time. So we're biting off a few projects right out of the gate, and a couple of them we've talked about throughout the year. The Parks Operations and Administration Building has started. First thing had to get done was everything was leveled, so you don't see a lot of activity, but it took some time to get things going. But this is what it's eventually going to look like right on Witzel Avenue. I think it'll blend in well with the Public Works Field Operations Facility and Fox Valley Technical College. Then there's also the Four Seasons Building at Lakeshore Park, and this was part of the proceeds from a sale of some land to Oshkosh Corporation for their global headquarters. But you can see that this is going to be right along the river, right where Lake Butamore and the Fox River connect, and it's going to be a wonderful facility that is going to be able to be used year-round. So we're just starting construction on that, and we're expecting that to be finished sometime summer of 2023.
It will be a beautiful facility for sure.
And then also the other one that we're getting out of the gate is a training facility for the fire department. We've already put up the tower for training purposes, but this will be the site eventually of a new training facility. But we've got a couple other things we got to get done. We've got some facilities for police and the city clerk and the public museum storage, and we need to find a new place for them. So that's the type of thing you're going to see in 2023. So making progress by getting things set up so that we can proceed with these facility improvements.
Okay, very good. Well, number 6 on our list is Magic, the Oshkosh Police Department therapy dog. And this has been a wonderful new addition to the police department.
It really has been, but in all fairness, I think we're using Magic as a teaser because everybody loves a good animal dog story. But this is Officer Scott Zapata with Magic. Magic is a 2-year-old female golden retriever who provides emotional support to both members of our community as well as our officers. So we've had so many successful public outreaches with this. But I would say probably the best outreach is that Officer Zapata has partnered with a social worker from the Winnebago County Human Services Department, Kayla Rodriguez, and those two work very closely and using Magic sort of the lead in to work on behavioral health related calls. So whatever the situation calls for, if you need a little love and therapy from Magic, we do that. Our social workers there to talk through situations. Officer Zapata is also there to provide safety as well as he's been trained in behavioral health issues. And so they can do highly sensitive emotional calls for service, as well as support the employees of the Oshkosh Police Department who have to deal with so many stressful situations. So we're really happy to have this wonderful working relationship with a social worker from County Human Services Department.
It's a wonderful way that the Oshkosh Police Department continues to be proactive in seeking out these new opportunities, so that's great. Number 5 on our list is collaborations expand to address homelessness, and I know that well, actually, I'm wondering, what is the city's role with homelessness?
Well, it's a very complex role because homelessness is a complex issue. There are certain things that we get involved in sometimes from a public safety standpoint, but no one agency can do this alone, and I think that's one of the things we've learned. So we've helped a little bit with trying to facilitate some local groups that are trying to address homelessness, and we've done several of those this year. I think the first one is helping the day-by-day warming shelter with developing a new facility right at the corner of CP and Broad Street, not too far from our fire station. But the idea is to have an area that's close to other social services that a lot of the homeless community needs. We worked with the Winnebago County Housing Authority to acquire this land. We gave Day by Day a forgivable loan, which is really going to end up being a grant to get this facility. We're looking at getting this facility opened by April of 2023. This new shelter will help increase the programs and services offered by Day, and then they'll be able to reach more people to achieve self-sufficiency, because that's really what this is about, self-sufficiency. And similarly, we work closely with the Oshkosh Kids Foundation, and they are building a village of tiny homes on Packer Avenue, right between Main and Jackson Street. The idea there is to help combat homelessness by offering an affordable place to live. And in this case, this is more about small families. Day by Day is really for individuals, that is not for children. So this is a different approach to dealing with other needs in our community regarding homeless prevention. So we're excited to have worked with them. TJ Rogers, a local person, has been the philanthropic leader of this to help fund this program, and they're doing a lot of fundraising. But this is an idea of what the unit looks like. It is not big, it's very small, but it will offer a home setting for people that have been at risk, and we're trying to get them into more permanent housing, and we're excited that we're going to be able to partner with the Kids Foundation to make this happen in Oshkosh.
And we'll keep an eye on this also as the new shelter continues to be built and the tiny homes, and we'll share some progress updates.
We will, and we have partnerships with other agencies. The Kids Foundation has reached out, for example, with Advocap, which offers counseling. So it's really a more holistic approach to addressing homelessness.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, number 4 on our list is the Clearwell design was approved, and this is over at the water filtration plant, kind of close to Lake Winnebago. And, first question might be, what exactly is a Clearwell, if people aren't aware?
Yeah, and I think that's a fair question because it's one of those behind-the-scenes things, but it's super important to the water filtration process. A Clearwell is essentially a storage facility for water, and it's the first storage facility in our system. It's a 2 million gallon tank that currently is below ground that stores water. It needs to be on this site because of the filtration plant, because we can use up to 400,000 gallons through a single process and several times throughout the day for that same process. So we need to have a lot of water to backwash our filters that we use to clean out the water. But you need clean water to wash the filters. So that's sort of the technical reason of why it's there. The current Clearwells are over 100 years old. They are below the level of Lake Winnebago, and that currently does not meet codes from the Department of Natural Resources. So we've conducted an inspection of those tanks. There are actually cracks and leaks. Having water in there is good because the pressure then goes out, but we can't afford to have water from the lake that's untreated leak into these tanks, so we have to get them above ground. So that was the big issue in 2022.
And they're currently located in this image here in the foreground, underground in that green space. So that's where they are right now.
Yeah, and the big controversy, and it was a legitimate concern from a lot of the residents in the area, that these tanks were now going to be above ground, and they were really going to be, they don't look as good as having a nice green area there. And so that was the big issue. What could we do? Ultimately, the council decided that it would be best to have a lower profile tank that is a rectangular tank, which gives us a little more room. So you can see that it's a little lower than the filtration plant itself, and I think that was the desire of some of the residents. Some residents wouldn't like to see the tanks above ground at all, but once they realized that that was something we couldn't do, they were collaborating with the council to give them input, and eventually council chose the rectangular tanks.
And what is the next step with this project? I know it's been kind of an ongoing process.
Now that the design has been approved by the council, we have to go through the final design of that, get that approved, and then the real tricky part now will be to get the Public Service Commission to agree that our water rates can fund these tanks as opposed to a less expensive option that we had identified. And I think we're going to be able to make a pretty strong case, but that'll be something that we'll be working on in the coming year.
Okay, all right, excellent. Well, number 3 on our list is urban forest renewal. And now we've had a lot of trees around the city that have just been devastated by this beetle that has kind of infested these ash trees. And so, a lot of efforts are being made to renew this urban forest. We're
certainly trying to find a silver lining in this rather dark cloud, but those devilish little emerald ash borers, it's a green beetle that you can see it's less than the width of a penny, but they can get those little holes in there, and those holes driven into ash trees can wreak havoc. And it has a mortality rate, I believe, of over 95%. So if they get into a tree, they're going to kill it. This has killed millions of ash trees throughout the Northeast United States and hundreds here in Oshkosh. The beetle entered Wisconsin in 2008 and arrived in Oshkosh by 2016. So the silver lining to this is, even though it's wreaked havoc on our urban forest, this is an area just north of Oshkosh North High School where it's really devastated that. We've got a great partnership with the Oshkosh Area Community Foundation. We've had a program called Taking Root that's addressed little landscaping issues throughout the city. The foundation has launched Taking Route 2 campaign. And the council has allocated some funds to this project, and then the foundation is going to be seeking some funds through the philanthropic community to try to replace the trees, because we're getting rid of a lot of the trees right now.
Right.
But if we don't replace them, then the urban forest is gone, and we're going to look for more elaborate, diverse group of trees that will hold up better in our weather, be more resistant to little pests like emerald ash borer. And so I will applaud the Parks Department, the Forestry Division, for the work that they've done to get the trees down, and working with our philanthropic community through the Oshkosh Area Community Foundation to get some new trees planted. So
Sure.
we'll be providing information within the next year about how to get trees replanted, because that's our goal next.
Sure. And to that point, folks are able to request a replacement terrace tree if they lost an ash tree.
Absolutely, and I think that's going to be our big effort in the coming year. So we'll be providing more information as time goes on.
Okay. All right. Excellent. Well, number 2 on our list is reconstruction of Algoma Boulevard is completed. And, every year we seem to have a few major road construction projects, and this one certainly was a major one this year.
It was certainly visible because of its notoriety with so many visitors from the university, but it was certainly a project that was long overdue. We worked closely with UW Oshkosh to make sure that some of the underground utilities that they have on their campus were able to get addressed before we started digging up the street, because it drives me crazy when we have to dig up a street twice. So
Right.
You can see through our wonderful drone coverage that you can see progress through the whole year. But now that it's opened, the campus looks much better because the street looks better. This reconstruction took place all the way from Wisconsin Avenue all the way to Congress Street. So through the university, through some wonderful historic residential area, by Reed School, and ending over at the Oshkosh Public Museum. So we're excited that this project's done, and I think it bears noting that I want to thank University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh for working with us through so many parts of the project, being very patient when it was new week for the students, and it wasn't exactly the most welcoming location, but they made adjustments to make it work. And now that it's done, we're all excited and happy. But I think we try to do that with all our street projects, but this one, because there's so many different players that are involved,
Right.
It is still a through street for the general public. Anybody heading north wants to have this work very well. So all the partnerships that we do and all the logistics that you have to go through to have a successful project, I think it went very well, and I think it's a good example of what we can do to make a street project be as undisturbing as possible when it's a pretty big deal.
Well, and as you had mentioned, there's more to this than just replacing the road. There's a lot of infrastructure underneath that road.
Right. We, in addition to like the steam pipes that the university has, we also have our water and our sewer and our storm sewers that are there. So we had to address all of those issues. Plus, the campus is very pedestrian friendly, and so we wanted to make sure that good walking paths for the university as well, and making sure that the east-west and north-south flow to pedestrian traffic through the campus was continued through the project, and then will continue after the project's done. So we're excited about this, and boy, doesn't the final product looks wonderful. And if you've been afraid to go around campus because of construction, take a good look at it now. It looks wonderful, and I think it's going to be enjoyed for many years.
And I've driven through there. I enjoyed no more bumps. It's a nice, smooth road. It's wonderful. So, all right, well, I think we need a little drum roll or something, because we have finally arrived at our number 1 on the top 10 of 2022. And number 1 this year is Waterfront Redevelopment Area Expands. And there really have been some wonderful projects that are developing in this region of the city.
In both sides of the river, and not just in one area. So we couldn't just say Sawdust District or Marion Road. It's really all of these things that have started to blossom at the same time. So I think 22 does show itself as a year of waterfront redevelopment, but some great examples, and that's why we couldn't just focus on one area at the waterfront up and down. First of all, the Mill on Main. That's the property that's immediately south of the Fox River. It received council approval. We're looking at about an $85 million development, and you can already see the Riverwalk there, but now here's the overlay of what the Mill on Main will eventually look like. Very outdoor friendly, and I think that's the developers, T-Wall out of Middleton. They're going to really develop something that their residents can enjoy. Their businesses will be attracted to having closeness to the river, as well as all the amenities that go along with downtown and the Riverwalk itself. So these are just a few renderings of what the T-Wall group has shown us, so we're excited about that. But that's just one of several of these. We were excited this fall that ThedaCare has announced a partnership with Freighter out of Milwaukee to build a micro hospital on the site of the old Geldwin property. That's over at Oregon and 6th Avenue. Mm-hmm. We happened to be there for their announcement, and these are some renderings of what they're going to look at. It's only going to be about an 8-bed hospital, but it's a facility that has long been missed since Mercy moved over to the west side, mm-hmm. and they're looking at about a $75 million investment themselves right at this site. And we worked closely with them through their process, even though we didn't officially know it was ThedaCare until they announced, but we knew what they were trying to do, and having the Riverwalk there, eventually a redo of the bridge on Jackson Street, eventually probably by around 2028. We wanted to make sure that we factored in anything going on over there.
Sure.
So that's one, and then flip across the river from ThedaCare, the Maxon Corners along Marion Road. That development's progressing, and that's another $15 million. So we're real excited that one is that's actively in progress, getting worked on, and that'll be finished very soon. And then, of course, some of the other ones that kind of fill in the blanks. Miles Kimball Building at 9th and South Main Street, that renovation is underway, and you can see the activity going on. Supply chain issues have affected that, but this gives you an idea of what it's going to look like. It's really adding life to an older building, which I think is wonderful when we can restore some of these historic buildings. And then, of course, we've mentioned the Riverwalk, still making progress there. This year we started and finished the part that goes from South Main through Old Pioneer Drive all the way over to Pioneer Island. And this is just a wonderful walk. You get there to where the mouth of the Fox River opens up to Lake Winnebago. It's a wonderful addition. Very worthy of getting the top ranking in our top 10 for this year.
I would say for sure. Yeah, definitely. I think we had a really wonderful list this year, a lot of great things. But Mark, we wanted to make mention, and we actually did not brief Mark on this ahead of time, so my apologies in advance. But Mark Rohloff received the Meritorious Service Award from the Wisconsin City County Management Association this year, the WCMA. And Mark has been responsible for the effective and efficient delivery of services to meet the needs of our community here. His collaboration with public and private partners to advance the city's strategic plan is evident in the successes that we've enjoyed during his leadership. And Mark has been involved in numerous committees and organizations that serve to improve local government, and he's also taught classes in the Master of Public Administration program at UW-Oshkosh. And Mark, we just thank you for your continued public service and mentorship, and well-deserved award.
Well, it's very nice of you, but I'll get you for this, Andy.
A little surprise, I guess, but we wanted to congratulate you again, and it's a wonderful, wonderful achievement.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Okay. Well, thanks again for having another Top 10 show this year, and thank you for joining us for this look back at 2022 in the city of Oshkosh. Join us again in 2023 for new editions of the City Manager's Report, and remember, you can always visit our YouTube channel for government meeting archives and the full library of Oshkosh media programming. So Well, thanks for joining us today, and best wishes for a prosperous 2023. Take care.